Welcome to Tuesday Travel Chat with Go Travel. I'm one of your hosts, Julia, and today we are talking all about Alaska with Regent. So, of course, we are joined by Bob Cook from Go Travel and our very special guest, Kim Rhodes from Regent Seven Seas. But before we do that, let's give you a little teaser about what we're talking about today.
Why do we travel to Alaska? Because every time you look, you get a different view. Because no lens can capture what it feels like to sail this close to a glacier. Because the mountain peaks are more majestic than you realize. Because a helicopter ride soaring above them is on your bucket list. Because there's so many things you haven't tried yet. Because a glimpse into the untouched landscape is exactly what you needed. Because something they will never forget is exploring a national forest or walking over it. Why travel to Alaska? Because you can watch bears play and hear eagles soar overhead. Because the locals want to share their history and culture. Because the good things in life are everywhere. And with free, unlimited shore excursions, you can explore all Alaska has to offer.
Well, for us here in Florida, I know for sure that is truly inspiring. It is like going to a different world. So I'm excited to learn more today. So today we're going to be talking about the Regent difference, and also we're going to get into some specific itineraries for this summer, Alaska with Regent. But before we do that, let's say hello to Kim and let's just talk about what's going on with Regent right now and travel's restart.
Thank you, Julia. Hi, I'm Kim Rhodes with Regent Seven Seas Cruises. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Julia and Bob, for allowing me to be here with you today and talk about Regent Seven Seas and what separates us, especially for Alaska, right? So I'm going to talk about, well, first of all, we're celebrating 30 years of unrivaled experiences. I have so much information, exciting information to share with you today with regard to fabulous promotions coming up, what separates Regent Seven Seas. I understand Bob's going to share some experiences as well. We're going to talk about pre and post programs. And so look forward to that and can't wait to see some new guests on board.
Now, for people that haven't been cruising, we know it's been changing on a daily basis. Things are opening up. The restrictions are it's getting easier and easier to travel and to cruise. And I love what Regent has done as far as your voyage resource, which is open to not only travel advisors, but to clients. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Kim?
Of course, yes. This is super helpful. I know there's still some concerns when traveling and cruising, although we've been sailing since September 11th of 2021. So it's been some time. But exciting news that there's no longer a mask requirement on board. And I should mention that our guests do need to be fully vaccinated, as well as our crew. So that is one of the requirements by Regent, and any of the new requirements that you need to know. We have so many frequently asked questions, so you can simply just go to our website or just type in rssc.com/voyage health and just see what the new requirements are. So if you happen to be booked on a sailing with Regent Seven Seas Cruises, we make sure that we just sort of glide you the entire step of the way. You know exactly what's going to be happening, what the requirements are going to be, any kind of changes to expect. So you never have to worry about doing that research on your own. So
And it's really cool. I checked into it yesterday, and it's date by date. So you can look at your specific ship and departure, click on it, and everything you need is right there. It's not some massive, big umbrella explanation. It is very specific to your sailing. So I think that's just a beautiful thing that you guys have.
Don't worry, we'll overload you with information. You'll be completely ready. We have all the details taken care of for you. So, our commitment to you, our guests, is that we'll deliver an unrivaled ocean cruise experience with every luxury included, just allowing our guests to explore the world without hassle or limitation. And essentially what that means is the value with Regent is there. There's absolutely no nickel and diming. Guests really appreciate that all-inclusive luxury experience. So with our smaller ships being at the largest capacity of right now, 730 guests approximately from 750. There's lots of space on board, and having a lot of space is truly a luxury. Like I said, every luxury is included, and we'll go through that a bit more as we get a bit more into the presentation.
Well, and you just mentioned that the space. So getting into why Regent, I think one of the big ones is that space.
Yeah, the unrivaled space at sea is kind of something that we've always had, but we're sort of capitalizing on that message because guests are conscientious of space. A lot of guests are going from premium to luxury because they want to enjoy that extra space. They've kind of been home for a couple of years. They want to treat themselves. They realize the time is now. They're booking longer vacations. They're upgrading their suites. So with this being said, I wanted to share, this particular slide. It just gives you an idea of on our ships on the Seven Seas Splendor, which happens to be, we just christened her in February of 2020, right before all of this, right? She's known as Luxury Perfected. And now on her, her ship size or based on tonnage, I mean, if you want to get technical, 55 tons versus the number of guests being 750, compared to another premium cruise line where you're at 126,000 tons with over 3,000 guests. So again, that small ship with that large ship feel per 100 guests, this is kind of what it looks like on board. You see all of that space in between each other, right? So it is private, lots of space, no waiting. You can enjoy that lounge chair. If you happen to have had too many creme brulees and you want to get on that gym equipment, there's no wait at all. You feel free. So we really love this idea behind Regent Seven Seas. We have over a 70%, return rate with our guests. We really want to get some new to Regent guests for them to experience, in particular Alaska. The value is there, and we'll go a bit more into that. But just capitalizing on that personal space on board, expansive social areas, world-class facilities, fabulous evening entertainment, large theaters for small groups of people, the state-of-the-art fitness centers I mentioned, and personalized onboard enrichment. So we really want to make you feel as if you're inside or a part of the culture. We want that immersive experience. We try to bring smells, tastes, touch, feels, all to the experience with Regent Seven Seas. And this is why our guests, keep coming back. So good story to tell.
And you have this little video from one of your clients who had just taken the Alaska cruise with Regent. And this is what they had to say about the space and the size of the ship when they were in the ports, specifically in Alaska. So let's check this out.
Yes.
Yeah, the size of the ship is a real selling point because you can always find a quiet spot. You never have to queue for anything. We've seen queues from the biggest ships in port on this cruise, and you just shake your head and you think, I'm so glad I did not have to get in that queue for getting on board, getting off the ship, getting on the bus. Presumably that's what it's like in the restaurants as well. And you can't underestimate how nice it is to be able to always be able to get a coffee or be able to have a meal, find a seat in the theatre. The reception and all of the services are always available. The gym staff are fantastic, and there's always plenty of room in there. So yeah, being on board a ship where there's 700 guests is just something special.
Very well said. It is something special for sure. So this is our fleet. Only 5 ships currently. We have a new ship coming, the Seven Seas Grandeur in 2023. For now, the Seven Seas Splendor, as I mentioned, Christy Brinkley, by the way, is our godmother for this ship that we christened back in 2020. We had Christy Brinkley there. Seal was performing. It was something right out of 1992, and I was absolutely there for it. But the Seven Seas Splendor, like I said, luxury perfected with the 732 guest capacity. The Explorer, known as the most luxurious ship at sea at 732. I mentioned sort of that limited capacity. Now the Explorer and Splendor, our new ship, the Grandeur, will be an Explorer class ship, so you can expect the similar amount of space. The Seven Seas Voyager with 680 guests. The Mariner, which she'll be doing the Alaska season this summer. She has 682 guest capacity. And then our country club, our floating country club, the Seven Seas Navigator, highly endeared ship, 480 guest capacity. By the way, the Explorer, the most luxurious ship at sea, will be doing her Alaska season in 23. So if you can't make it this summer, you can look forward to that smaller ship being in those Alaska ports, those smaller ports. Again, giving you that sort of more immersive experience. And without all of those people, as our past guest has mentioned, that experience in Alaska is even more special to enjoy, those highly curated shore excursions that some of the larger ships can't provide just because of the amount of people and the capacity. So something to think about there if this is on your bucket list and you really want to go above and beyond and truly experience Alaska in luxury.
And I know you mentioned that Seven Seas Grandeur will be joining soon here.
Yeah.
And she's not going to be in Alaska
No.
for the time being, but
right.
we had to pop it into the presentation.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so just a couple adjectives to describe this particular ship. We have one Italian designer designing the whole ship. So it kind of gives me that Gilded Age feel, that Newport, Rhode Island, sort of New York subway tile, Coco Chanel, post-modern vibe, right? So if any of these words appeal to any of your senses, ladies, you'll be particularly interested in this ship. So, we could share some pictures of that at another time, but you'll truly be inspired by this incredible ship. So we believe that these are the 4 pillars that separate Regent Seven Seas from other luxury cruise lines. And I mentioned immersive exploration, allowing you to feel as if you're inside or a part of the experience. And we provide that through all of our shore excursions, being complimentary at every port. And Julie and Bob are aware of this. If you want to look at your shore excursions prior to booking a sailing, you want to see what those are, something for every interest level, for every activity level, just to provide a little bit more personalization, get you excited for that sailing. A lot of people assume what all-inclusive means, and maybe they think they're not getting, the best of the best because, they're paying one price. But really, every single shore excursion at every port is included. And you can look at those prior to your sailing just to see, if the value is there. We also have some Regent Choice shore excursions. So I'll talk a bit about, one of our promos coming up. So how do you spend all of that shipboard credit? So perhaps on ShoreX, so something elevated. You take a helicopter, you land on a glacier in Alaska, you go dog sledding, and then you enjoy a crab feast. We've curated these experiences that you can choose. We have small group tours, go local tours, gourmet explore. I mentioned, the tastes and smells and feels that we try to, immerse our guests in the shore excursions and then back to the ship. So this is a chef-led tour. You go out, you pick your spices, you pick your ingredients, you come back, you learn how to cook with those. If you wanted to do something private and book a private car and curate your own shore excursion, we have that available as well. Some pre and post land packages, overland programs, import overnights, which really separates us, Plus, we visit 350 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So over 450 worldwide destinations we visit. So if you can dream it, we've probably already thought of it, and it's available for you to experience with Regent Seven Seas.
So Kim, as far as, you know, if someone's new to Regent and they're trying to understand, okay, do I have to pay anything extra for my excursions? And when do I have to book my excursions? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So if you're in a concierge and above, you can book your excursions 350 days prior. So you have a little bit of an edge to make earlier dining and earlier shore excursion reservations. They are popular in Alaska, but I can promise you that our guests are not left disappointed. And then 300 days prior for anything concierge and above. So at concierge and above, you also have a free pre-night hotel package. So you can enjoy visiting Alaska or starting from Vancouver or Seward. The plane lands, we pick you up, we bring you to your hotel. You enjoy the destination. You wake up in the morning, have breakfast. We take you to the ship, and then after the ship disembarks, we take you back to the airport. So, you know, to answer your question, Julia, there's no nickel and diming. Once you get on board, there's simply nothing to pay for. Everything is absolutely included. Maybe not the 40-year-old Scotch, right? But all the premium wines and liquors. I can't think of anything other than the spa and maybe those curated, you know, high-level shore excursions. And of course, you know, if you want to make a donation to our casino, we're absolutely there to help you with that.
And oh, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I just had a question about, you have a shipboard credit and you can use it to book the small group tours or the upscale tours. Can you apply that credit before the sailing, or do you have to wait till you get on the ship to use that credit?
Now you can absolutely apply that before the sailing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But if you're a planner and if you really have a certain thing in mind, what you're saying is the higher level cabins, you have that ability to book out as far as 360 days. 350
for concierge and above, and then 300 for the veranda levels.
And then maybe there's say that there were 1 or 2 days that you didn't know what you wanted to do while you're on board. Is it possible to also book some things on board?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can always change your mind. And of course, we have a 1 to 1.5 crew to guest ratio. Someone's always available to assist you in making, you know, your shore excursions, or if there's a wait list, you know, we'll open something up. And I know everybody's excited and they book all of their shore excursions. And then by Wednesday, they're like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that, you know, Iditarod dog sledding excursion. And then something opens up. But like I said, guests have never complained or have been disappointed about a shore excursion that they weren't able to take. So if for some reason you try to book something prior to sailing, don't be discouraged. Once you get on board, you know, the opportunities are still there for you.
And the good news is, on this front, your travel advisor will direct you and guide you every step of the way from that first moment when you start having that conversation about booking this cruise, and give you all those options and all these little details about that. But
so you don't have to wait to see them until you're booked. You can absolutely look at those and see what there is to get excited about.
Now, I just want to do another couple of your guests mentioned about that kind of all-inclusive experience. Let's take a listen to them.
The all-inclusive aspect to Regent is a huge plus. Regent just takes it that next step up. They really think of just everything, and the quality of the food is amazing. And I haven't been disappointed. They haven't put one plate of anything in front of me that I didn't thoroughly enjoy.
And of course, you guys are all over the world. So today we're focusing on Alaska, but Regent is a global company with itineraries everywhere. But back to why Regent Cuisine. Talk to us, Kim.
So our exquisite cuisine, up to 7 specialty or up to 7 restaurants to visit. Again, the specialty restaurants are included. Even our open seating dining and compass rows, everything is custom made to order. Like our past guest said, she's never been disappointed with a plate, right, that's been put in front of her. So compass rows is our open seating dining. But really, you pick your protein, you pick your side, you pick your sauces. So it's not like that dish where, you know, you're looking around and everyone has the chicken with the brown gravy and the 4 mushrooms and the green beans with the almonds, and right, you know what to expect. It's nice being surprised. It's nice having something made to order. So at Compass Rose, we do specialize in that. Again, with our crew to guest ratio, that level of service is there. You can absolutely have anything you want. Plus, we provide 24/7 room service via Compass Rose's menu. You can even have your meals served to you course by course on your veranda or in your large seating area in your suite, if that's something you wanted to do. So Prime 7 is our steak and seafood restaurant. It is our most popular restaurant. You'll notice if you look at some of the pictures, it's your typical sort of steak restaurant there. It's a little bit masculine. I happen to enjoy king crab leg, and you can't give me enough pounds. I cannot order by the pound. So at Prime 7, if you like crab meat, they'll bring you 2 pounds literally of shelled crab meat, beautifully piled on your plate for you to enjoy. One of the amazing, dining experiences at Prime 7. Chartreuse is our specialty casual French restaurant, Pacific Rim, Pan Asian. And I mentioned casual because these venues are absolutely stunning and gorgeous, right? And a gentleman might wear a jacket while in some of the specialty restaurants, but we have no formal nights. So it's just country club casual. Everything is relaxed and laid back. And, our past Regent guests know this when they come on board again. But really, the most important thing is to relax, to enjoy yourself. You don't need to get dressed up. If you really just want to keep those shorts on, you could stay at our pool bar or pool grill and relax on board in some of the outdoor spaces. So, we'll have grilled specialties, grilled fish and steaks and seafood and burgers or whatever it is you'd like to enjoy there. But that's an option as well. So Coffee Connection, also very popular. Any of the smoothies or any kind of coffee drinks with any kind of almond milk, soy milk, cow milk, whatever you can dream of. Anything that you can dream of, we have this with Coffee Connection and your teas. We also have tea on board, high tea, so you can enjoy tea and trivia. So we have some special things there that we offer our guests. So this is Prime 7 on the Seven Seas Grandeur, and I'm so glad that we're kind of showing this visual, this mock-up here. And here's an interesting concept that I'm seeing on the ship, and I don't know if anyone else is following, but you'll notice you're coming inside of the restaurant. You're sort of immersed in the surroundings before, just coming down the stairs or getting to the maitre d' saying, could I have your reservation, or do you have a reservation, or what's your name? You're walking into the restaurant. You're already there. You're enjoying the surroundings. You can see the beautiful windows on either side of some of these 2-seat dining tables or larger tables, and the beautiful mirrors and the grommeted leather on top, and just you're going to notice a little bit of that Art Deco postmodern feel you'll see some of the lighting and then the shape on the carpeting. So this is sort of the new vibe in Prime 7 on the Seven Seas Grandeur. So I really think that new concept is kind of interesting. I mentioned the 1 to 1.5 crew to guest ratio on the Grandeur, even higher crew to guest ratio. So impeccable service. With 750 being our largest capacity, you're not just a number. Our crew remembers your name. They remember your favorite cocktails. They remember that when you get back from that chilly shore excursion in Alaska, you like your Irish coffee with Jameson Irish whiskey and whipped cream and creme de menthe on top. I don't know where that came from, but
it sounds good.
It sounds good, right?
I'm thirsty.
Yeah. So and dedicated butlers, any suite penthouse and above. So 24/7 a dedicated butler. We have guests that come back that do not want to sail without their specific butler that they had last time. We constantly find ways to surprise and delight our guests with this service. So you want to order have the same cocktail every day at 4 with some hors d'oeuvres. We'll do that every single day. They'll unpack and pack your luggage for you. They'll make shore excursion reservations and dining reservations. They'll just really accommodate anything that you can dream of and things that you never even thought of. So our luxurious suites, 98% are verandas, but they are all outside cabins. All of the cabins have marble appointed dual sinks, large walk-in closets.
Oh, Bob, are you there?
I'm here. Yes.
I think
Kim
we have
froze.
Kim frozen, but I'll take over. Oh, here she is. Is she back?
Yep. Did I mention the all outside cabins, walk-in closets?
We got to the dual sinks.
Okay.
Dual sinks is where you stopped.
Listen, don't forget the large walk-in closets in every suite. 98% verandas, some of the largest verandas, and of course,
she's gone again. She's gone again.
It's the solar flares, I tell you.
I'm going to flip through a few of the beautiful suites while we're going through. Kim, keep going. Kim.
Just notice some of the details in that art and just the lighting, and you'll get to the concierge suite where the bed is facing the veranda there, so you can look at those horizons, as you wake up, and of course also pull the curtain if you were on one of those import overnights too long and you just wanted to sleep in. So there's the Seven Seas suite on the Grandeur. You'll notice just some of the nice details. The penthouse suite, you'll notice the privacy between the sitting area and the bedroom there. The walk-in closet is over there on the side. And I mentioned just the bed facing out to the veranda in the concierge suite. I always ask about the concierge. It truly is a value. So right now we're having a promotion on, I think it's all of our Alaska sailings for this summer, plus other regions where sailings would be applicable to have a 2-category upgrade. So you book a veranda, you get a concierge. You book a concierge and you get a penthouse. So the value is really there, and the opportunity is through the end of June. So take advantage of that while those good suites last.
Well, this has been a good little refresher, especially if you're new to Regent. Kind of, that's that all-inclusive luxury, which is just wonderful to not have to worry as soon as you get on board. You have that space, you have that ultimate service with that amazing guest to staff ratio. So it is just a spectacular experience cruising with Regent. But now let's get into the specifics. Let's talk about Alaska. And as soon as this summer, if you want to get on board, you can do that with Regent. So let's jump into Alaska.
So everybody loves Alaska, right? For the wildlife, the amazing views, looking at these glaciers, the frontier towns, the natural wonders. This is why people travel to Alaska. Again, I mentioned the smaller ships and the smaller ports having a more immersive experience. So if you haven't been to Alaska and you haven't sailed Regent, this is just the perfect opportunity to really, check off Alaska on your bucket list and do it with Regent Seven Seas. I mean, again, I'll show you where the value is with some of the shore excursions that we're going to talk about at some of the ports, and Bob can speak to these, personally. He's been to Alaska several times, right, Bob?
Yes, I have. I love it.
Very good. So here, Seward to Vancouver or Vancouver to Seward. These are our 7-night itineraries, so either northbound or southbound. With all of our outside cabins and you're cruising the inside passage, you're really going to be able to take in those magnificent views no matter which way you go. Some people like to go northbound. They want to start in Vancouver and then go up to Alaska and do some of their land packages there. Other people want to do their land packages first, in Alaska, and then kind of relax the rest of the way and come back to Vancouver and have a shorter trip home. Just depends on, the guest's preferences. So really there's no difference. It just depends on, what the guest has in mind with land packages.
Most Floridians want to get the worst flight over first. So they're going to go as far as they can go and then come south. That's
Yeah,
just
I agree.
Floridians are like that. Others, no, but Floridians,
I'd
yes.
say, for the most part, people have no preference. And then the second one in line would be, like you said,
Mhm.
Bob, northbound to
I
southbound,
like
start in
where you
Alaska.
live and the connection to get into Seward and Anchorage and Fairbanks.
Yes. Perfect.
Well, Bob, I know that recently Alaska, we've had quite a number of requests for Alaska.
Yes.
Talk about how kind of hot this is right now.
Well, Alaska goes through, pardon the pun, goes through seasons. And I think the fact that Alaska opened up before Europe did for sales, I think a lot of people looked at the ability, well, I can go to Alaska. So am I going to go to Europe this year? And I think another thing that put a damper on it, of course, is the war in Ukraine. Did put a damper on some travel to Europe. So the Alaska season is quite popular this year, again, because people booked last year for it and weren't sure what's going on. So we're seeing a lot of people in Alaska. A lot of the ships are still not at full capacity, though, in Alaska, which is a good thing. So, but Alaska, Alaska is probably one of the biggest destinations we have been getting requests for since February.
So
and I know we've
excited for
sold
that.
some Regent. We've sold some Regent on that deal too.
Thank you, Bob.
Well,
So more than
specifically,
likely.
let's take a look
Okay.
at Vancouver to Seward. Is Seward or Seward?
Seward.
Seward. Let's get that right. Okay.
That was
I
named
have yet
after
to go to Alaska, so I'm
that was-
learning a lot today.
Well, Seward was named after the Secretary of State who bought Alaska for $4 million from the Russians.
There we go.
There's some
So we
trivia
have this-
for you.
Yes, exactly. Good trivia. So this seven, yes?
Yep. So I was just going to mention the value add, how robust the offering is for this particular sailing.
Great.
This is the Hubbard Glacier Exuberance, Vancouver to Seward on the Seven Seas Mariner. 7 nights, starts August 24th. There's up to 58 free shore excursions offered on this sailing, right? So many at each port, like I mentioned.
Yes.
Now, this is part of our Upgrade and Explore promotion that I'll get into later in the show. So you have an opportunity to have a 2-category upgrade for free. There's a $500 per person shipboard credit. So that's $1,000 for the cabin, plus 50% reduced deposits. There is a single supplement discount of 25% on this particular sailing. Also, we're offering, for those multi-generational families that want to experience Alaska with Regent, we have a $999 cost for any kids 17 and under to be able to experience Regent. So lots of short excursions for families to enjoy here. And we have the package of the Rocky Mountaineer. It is very, very limited on the Gold Leaf. And Bob will talk about some of the places that the Rocky Mountaineer visits and just, the value that Regent brings to sort of extend that sailing with an amazing Rocky Mountaineer package and possibly a Discover Denali on some other Alaska sailings. But this particular sailing, we still have availability. And like Julia and Bob said, the suites our timing is perfect on this because there's still suites available. With this new promotion that we started on April 1st, having an itinerary such as this, they're going to go quickly, especially, the verandas being upgraded to concierge and so forth. So definitely take advantage of the opportunity here. It's later in August, so the kids should still be home and it's still not too freezing cold, right? So great opportunity here.
Yeah, you're about 2 weeks away from heavy coat weather up in northern Alaska.
Yes. Good timing. Enough time to plan. I know it's soon, but
it's still enough time.
But we are ready. I think everyone's ready. Let's go. So let's kind of dive into this itinerary, starting with Vancouver.
Okay, well, let me address. I love going to Alaska. I've said that I cannot tell you how many times. Vancouver is probably one of the most beautiful cities you can see. The way it's set in the harbor. It's a peninsula that juts out. There's water on both sides. The ships all sail from the picture you're seeing, which is it's very near Stanley Park, which is a gorgeous national park that's very hilly, has a beautiful tea house in it. It's even larger than Central Park. That's bordered, if we're looking at the picture, it's over to the right. But Vancouver has some gorgeous sites. Granville Island was an industrial area that was built to accommodate guests. It's an amusement park without an amusement park, but it's a lot of varied entertainment at night. It's a beautiful setting. I think it's 450, 500 acres of space, and a place you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss Gastown. Gastown is built on the area where the trains used to be, because this was the terminal end for the Canadian Pacific Rail. So Gastown has been built up. It was going to be torn down to build a highway through it. And in the 70s, the people banded against it and fought. They put in art galleries. So it's a beautiful mix. It's near their Chinatown. And they have the famous steam clock there. And you would think the steam clock went back to like the 1800s. No, it was installed in 1977. But Vancouver is definitely worth a 2-day trip before. Number one, if you're coming from the east, it's a long flight. 2 days in Vancouver is not enough. It is just a gorgeous town. And food, it's a foodie city.
It's definitely a foodie city.
Regardless, right now with just this high demand in travel, this summer is going to be very big.
Yes.
There are some little twists and turns that you may go on that may happen with the airlines.
Mhm.
Get settled into a hotel pre and post.
Yes.
Relax. Don't get stressed. Don't worry about it. Enjoy yourself and just take that opportunity rather than trying to rush
Right.
before or after your cruise to the airport. Relax, take time to see the city. We haven't been, doing the crazy travels in a while. Take the time while you're there and just enjoy this beautiful city.
And
I
do
agree.
yourself a favor. Don't try to travel the day of the cruise. Try to travel, as Julia said, 2 days before. You never know what's going to happen. So you might as well anticipate and be there and laugh at the people who do miss the ship because they insisted on traveling the day of the sailing.
It's worthwhile. Vancouver
It
is, like you said, Bob, you need 2 days.
Yes. Yeah.
I
it's just
love
gorgeous.
the scenery there, the juxtaposition of sort of that metropolitan, and then you have the beautiful mountain peaks, and
Yes.
so the shopping is fabulous as well. The people
Mhm.
are above and beyond nice, super, super clean city. Parks are gorgeous. So you'll definitely want to experience Vancouver more than just jumping on the boat.
And sailing from Vancouver is a gorgeous ride until you get out into the Pacific. It's a very long ride with beautiful land features on both sides of the ship. So it's really absolutely
Well-
spectacular.
Well, speaking of which, let's pretend we've boarded the
Sail.
ship in Vancouver. We've done our pre-stay. Okay, now let's sail the Inside Passage.
Okay. Inside Passage, you are going to see, no matter what side of the ship you're on, you are going to see a lot of wildlife. If you're closer to land, you're going to see a lot of eagles, a lot of birds, water animals coming down to the water's edge. You'll probably be treated to a whale breaching several times on either side of the ship. They tend to follow the wake because the wake pulls up food for them. So the whales are learning, ship's coming, here comes dinner. So they'll be breaching and pulling up. But the Inside Passage is absolutely beautiful. And people say, I want to be on the port side, I want to be on the starboard side. You don't have to worry about that. Either side, you're going to see some beautiful scenery. So after that, we're a day at sea. And this one, then we end up in our first port is Ketchikan. Now, Ketchikan is a lovely, lovely little town that has been preserved. This is one of the few towns in Alaska that wasn't ravaged by fires over the course of time. So what you're seeing there, I believe, is the Creek Street. Yeah, that is Creek Street. Right now, it's all these cute little shops. Back in 1898, when it was part of the entry into the Yukon, along with Skagway, this was ladies of the evenings establishments. Most of them. There were bordellos all along here built over the water. This is where you're going to see Misty Fjords National Monument, which is the fjord itself is almost always perpetually bathed in fog. You also have the Totem Heritage Center with the Native American totems from the different tribes that represent Alaska. Each one has their own personal style of creating a totem. And the totems can be up to 50 feet tall, carved out of one piece of wood. So there's the Totem Heritage Centers there. Creek Street is there, and Saxon Totem Park is there. So it's a lovely day excursion. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, you're there for about 6 or 7 hours. This is one of the few ports where you're not there almost 12 hours in Alaska. Again, Ketchikan, worth the excursions, salmon fishing also. Our next stop is Juneau. Juneau is the capital of Alaska. Mendenhall Glacier is famous. You see it in the back. It's the only city in America that's actually getting larger because the glacier is retreating. And Juneau's unique because you can't get there by car. You have to go by ferry or by plane. So you can't get there, and it is the capital of Alaska. Now, sometimes the ship will dock right in downtown Juneau. Sometimes you have to anchor, go in, and it's a 10-minute tender drive, if that much. But what they're famous for here is Mendenhall Glacier and Mendenhall Glacier Park. You go out to Mendenhall Glacier, you walk on a boardwalk across. There are bears running underneath. And depending on the seasonality and the salmon coming or going, you will see a lot of bears. In the spring, there's more cubs. In the fall, they're a little bit older. In August, so you're seeing bigger bears. Glacier Gardens Rainforest is out here. And the one thing that most people don't realize, this is the best destination to go to depart from, to go fishing and also to do whale watching. Mm-hmm. Most whale watching opportunities will guarantee you that you're going to see some whales. And so this is the place to go. If you want a really beautiful overview, Mount Roberts Tramway is a 1,250-foot cable car ride up to the top of Mount Roberts. Now, in August, you're not going to have snow at the top. When I've been there in May and June, everyone's in shorts in Juneau, and just 1,250 feet up, you're walking through ice and snow. So it's a beautiful overview. If you like to hike, it's a beautiful walk area there to see a lot of the overview of the Juneau, of the peninsula, and Mendenhall Glacier in the distance.
Beautifully said, Bob. Really. I've been transported just listening to you. Right? Julie and I are both really sucked in here.
Hey, listen, I'm going to be there in a few weeks, so I'm happy. The next stop is really interesting. It's the only private destination. For those of you who don't know, Regent Seven Seas is owned by Norwegian Cruise Lines, and Norwegian Cruise Lines has exclusively leased the port of Icy Strait Point. It's a replica of a fishing village. Not a replica, it was a canning and fishing village. It has the longest zip line in the United States there. You're there for 10 hours. Private location, really very interesting. You see a lot of what the natives had to become when, as they call them, the white people came into Alaska and were, bringing, it's not civilizing, I can't say that word, but when they were coming in and bringing in their culture, it's an adaptation between the Hudas and this. So beautiful, beautiful destination, a nice place to go there. There's a lot of things to do there that you can just walk around. You can take tours out into the countryside. Excellent if you want to walk and do hiking.
Yep. And get to know the native people. Just really get to know the native people of Alaska, and they share the history and talk about the culture. It's very sound. They're very conscientious of protecting, their wildlife and their land, and the profits go right back, from the tourism into protecting, the wildlife and the environment there. So we're so appreciative of that.
The one thing you have to remember, that for the Native Americans of Alaska, one of the most important things in their life are salmon, because that was provided their way of life. So salmon are sacred to them. They treat it with great respect. Even when they're fishing, they treat it with respect. I did skip Skagway, which I am so sorry I did, because it is the city that is probably the...
Oh, you muted yourself, Bob. Come back to us.
Is that
There
better?
you are. You're
Okay,
back. You're back.
Skagway is the city that is the entry into the Yukon. In 1898, packers had to take 1,000 pounds of food up over these trails before the train was there. It's to get into the Yukon, Alaska goldfields. The most popular excursion you need to do is the White Pass Railroad. And if you're lucky, sometimes you can even get the steam engine to take you up to the pass and all the way up to Canada. You need a passport for this because you are going into Canada. And you need a passport for this cruise no matter what because you're sailing from Vancouver. But this train is just a beautiful, it comes from sea level. I forget the rise, but it's a very high rise with double turnbacks. And you will see from the front of the train, you'll see the back of the train on certain parts going over bridges. I do this every single time that I go to Alaska. This is the one pilgrimage I make is that train ride because it's always changing. And if you look down in the valleys, a lot of times you can see old trains that have fallen off. You can see the path of the 98 miners that traversed through this path. It's really spectacular. Skagway itself is a cute little town, and they do have a great museum for the tribute to 1898.
Yep.
Then the last part, Icy Strait Point, I talked about Hubbard Glacier. This is unique. People say, "Oh, I want to go to College Fjord." To me, Hubbard Glacier is much larger, much more beautiful. You have the opportunity here to see more calving because of the size of the glacier. And calving is when the ice falls off the glacier and falls into the water. It can create a ripple, it can create a wave, it can create a monster wave depending on the size of ice that falls off. And when that falls off, 90% of it are underwater. And this is what's formed the mountains and the lakes and the rivers of Alaska are the glaciers. So Hubbard Glacier, it's a continual glacier. And in that time of year, you'll see a lot of calving starting because it's getting warmer. So you have the chance of seeing a good calving of a nice.
Take a helicopter tour.
A helicopter tour, yeah. Over the glaciers and the land on the glacier, yeah. And then Seward is our journey's end. It's a fishing village in southern, well, they call it north central southern Alaska. That's the best way I can describe it. But it's a fairly freshwater port also. So you don't get a lot of ice in the winter. So a lot of the supplies that come in for Alaska, for Fairbanks and Anchorage and north, come in through Seward. This is the place where, after your cruise is over, if you have the opportunity, do the train transportation to Anchorage, because the route going from Seward to Anchorage is about 3.5 hours with a large pool of waters. You'll see white minke whales breaching in pods as the train runs along the track and getting you into Anchorage. There.
Yeah, to experience that wildlife. I mean, it's just,
yes,
it's what it's all about. That scenery and the incredible wildlife. It sounds like you've been really fortunate to see some things up close. And
yeah, I have.
We cue the bears, and we have Regent foxes and eagles. They just on demand.
Yes.
Come and visit your.
The things you can do with drones these days.
Well, thank you, Bob, for that very descriptive story of the Alaska adventure
and your perspective, for sure.
We're gonna look now into the exact promotions that we have running in a little more detail. I know that Kim had already mentioned these before, but before we do that, we have one more testimonial from some Regent clients that are, again, they're talking about their recent Alaska cruise. So let's take a look.
Definitely has to go on your bucket list, 100%. But it's beyond your bucket list.
I wouldn't say bucket list. I would say this has to be your very first
vacation.
Yeah. The next vacation you think of, you come to Alaska. It
on
is
Regent.
On Regent. Yes, that we had to add that in there.
I love that. So here again is this itinerary, Vancouver. So it's Vancouver to Seward, or you can, like you say, you could go south, Seward to Vancouver.
Yeah. several to choose from over the summer months through June through September, right? So either Seward to Vancouver or Vancouver to Seward, and those are the 7-night sailings. So as our past guests mentioned, do it with Regent. Seriously, the value is there. So if you're looking at a premium cruise line going to Alaska, compare the value of Regent with everything being included, including the airfare. The airfare is included as well, plus laundry every day. So don't worry about ironing those shirts, or just bring it, stuff it in your suitcase, get on board. We'll take care of all the details for you. We'll have your butler unpack and then send it over to laundry and set it up in your walk-in closet. So for example, again, with the value, free unlimited shore excursions, sometimes 2 in one day, depending on how adventurous you are or the timing. So excursions that would sell approximately $200 per person on other cruise lines are included every single day with Regent. So you don't have to worry about choosing. You don't have to worry about choosing, do you want to dine at a specialty restaurant? Just, you're absolutely welcome to do that, anytime on your sailing. And I mentioned bookable 300 to 350 days in advance. We offer pre and post cruise packages. So our Discover Denali package for 4 nights, our Canadian Rockies by Rocky Mountaineer, we specifically use the Gold Leaf train. I happen to have done this Rocky Mountaineer 5-night package on the Gold Leaf, and starting in Vancouver and going finishing in Calgary, and just visits to Kamloops and then Banff. I'll tell you that Lake Louise is one of the most magnificent, beautiful scenery I've ever. The skies, the lake, the glacier, the Athabasca Lake Glacier. Just going up there, it's like a frozen planet. Like time stood still. I mean, Vancouver is incredible, like Bob mentioned. Banff is an amazing little ski town. Lots of friendly people, delicious food. You'll stay at the Fairmont in Banff, which is hundreds and hundreds. I'm trying to remember when it was built, but it's like a huge, like something out of Harry Potter. So
it was built in the 1880s.
Thank you.
By Canadian Pacific Railroad.
And it really is preserved. So when you go there, you feel like you have stepped back in time. So a neat opportunity. Like I said, it's limited. The space is kind of limited for the Rocky Mountaineer. So, definitely check with your advisor about that if you wanted to add that package on there.
And that's 2 bucket lists then checked
That's
off.
a bucket list. The Gold Leaf is, an incredible experience where you're on that domed train with 360-degree views. You're getting Michelin star service for dining. And when I said to myself, how am I going to be on a train for 12 hours, when I'm boarding here? But when you step on, you just say, I could be on this train for, but it's not something you fall asleep at. Listen, they're storytellers. The hosts are so gracious.
And there's mimosas.
And seeing the wildlife, and there's a few surprises along the way. So
yes, we love working with Rocky Mountaineer. Clients come back and are always just wowed by that experience. So combining that also with Alaska, I mean, get ready to have your mind completely blown.
Just do it. Yeah.
It's spectacular.
Spectacular. Yes.
And you've been mentioning the value. So I love this. You have this kind of comparison chart.
It's really where the rubber meets the road, and our demographic appreciate the value. They're very well traveled. They want exotic itineraries. They want that luxurious space at sea. They don't like nickel and diming. Like I said, you're taking longer vacations. You're upgrading your suites and cabins, and you're spending more time prior to the sailing. So with everything included, and this is just comparing a 7-night sailing in Alaska with a luxury or another premium cruise line. Mm-hmm. So you look at the bottom lines of the round trip economy air, the ground transfers if you're taking our air. If you don't take our air, by the way, we'll offer a generous air credit towards your sailing. Wi-Fi gratuities, that's taken care of. Any bar wines, drinks, spirits, any lounge that you go to, alternative dining, government taxes and fees, plus the laundry. So if you kind of look, just as an example, on a premium cruise line or even the luxury, $60 on alternative dining, that's maybe that's maybe for one person. We're being very conservative here. So if you look at the bottom line, at $900 per person spend per day, it's a bit more with some other luxury cruise lines, and even more than what you're seeing, if you're treating yourself, as most people are these days. And then premium cruise lines. You could have taken a Regent Seven Seas cruise and had, the luxury of all the space and that smaller capacity ships and the smaller ports, and not having to worry about being nickel and dime. So definitely something to consider. If you haven't experienced Regent Seven Seas cruises before, experience it in Alaska with this incredible value.
It really is helpful to actually, when you get down to it line by line by line, the value really is there. And then, of course, if you are trying to go more budget friendly, there are alternatives out there, but you would be cutting certain key things out of your trip if you were trying to keep it budget. At the end of the day, if you were going to be adding on all of these different things, you may want to take a look at cruising at someone like Regent, because that value is really there and the quality is amazing.
Thank you.
Someone, I forget who it was, an agent was telling me that their client said what they consider Regent is an all-embracing experience.
I love that.
That they were in Regent's embrace from the time they got on the plane till the time they almost got home. It was that comfort, that swaddling.
Thank you for that, Bob. That's lovely. And I would agree with the service that you're getting, the crew on board. You really feel like when you come back, you're coming back to family. I mean, really, like Bob said, you have that warmth. We pay attention to every detail, and there's nothing that you can't ask for.
Right. So
special offers, I'll dig into this, not just on the particular itinerary that we highlighted here, but on many itineraries throughout every region. So Reconnect on Regent, I just want to mention this particular group program. We talked about multi-generational families visiting Alaska, ideal with regard to the shore excursions for the families to enjoy together. Now, this particular group program is for groups of 10 or more. So if you're on a 7-night sailing, for 4 of those days, all of the shore excursions, anything that you choose can be done just with your group of 10 or more. So you're not meeting in the theater, you're meeting in a separate space. You're with your family and friends at any particular shore excursion that you've chosen. You get a little itinerary slipped under your door. You know what to expect. We waive the air deviation fees for that. We'll give you a $200 shipboard credit. There's a special party on board just for your group. So we make it really comfortable to sort of just travel together and, reconnect and make up for all that last time that we didn't get to have together, when we weren't sailing.
So that's excellent. If you are thinking of going with a group, you get all these extra things but when you go with Regent. So just tell your travel advisor if you're thinking of hitting those group numbers, let them know, and we'll get you specific information on what's offered specifically for your group.
Yep.
Kim, I just like one clarification. When it says 10 or more, you're meaning 5 double occupancy cabins.
That's correct.
10 refers to people.
Yes.
Then also kids.
And kids sell for $999. So that would be the third guest in the suite would be $999. And that's for kids 17 years old and younger on select voyages. So that particular sailing in August on the 24th, that was one of the sailings that include the kids sale for $999. So again, really robust offer there.
And for Alaska, this is a great one for that multi-generational for kids, because you have that wildlife, you have the history. We can learn about Mr. Seward, all the things. It's a really educational experience, but also just a spectacular as far as sights.
Good point. Yeah.
And then we have these special hosted sailings and exclusive benefit sailings. Maybe Kim, you can mention.
So exclusive with Go Travel, right? The hosted sailings offer on particular sailings, and check with your advisor. shipboard credits up to $400. And then there's different benefit sailings that offer a shipboard credit of up to $200. And these are absolutely combinable with any of our, current promotions or group offers that I just mentioned before with the Reconnect on Regent. So lots of opportunity there. It's combinable also with the promo that I'm getting ready to mention coming up through June. And that's Upgrade and Explore More. So that's a free 2-category upgrade, suite category upgrade for select sailings. And again, ask your travel advisor to show you those sailings. For Alaska, pretty much, I would say 98% of the sailings are included in this upgrade promotion. The cabin gets $1,000 in shipboard credit, so that's $500 per person. So use it on some of those, curated shore excursion experiences. Use it on our Serene Spa and Wellness. If you would like for your advisor to send you that spa menu. These are not your, mother's Saturday afternoon spa treatment. So take advantage of that. And it's on select 22 and 23 voyages. Not just for Alaska, but, for all regions that we visit.
And then I see also some extended. What is this extended promotion here?
So the extended explorations on a lot of our exotic sailings, such as New Zealand, Australia, on Asia sailings, we offer a free pre or post land package. But with this particular promotion, we're offering a pre and post package, and that's for South America and Africa voyages. So check with your advisor on those specific voyages. If you can't take the pre and only take the post, or if you can't take either one, it's up to a $3,000 credit toward your sailing. So hopefully you can take advantage of the extra time and enjoy that pre and post. But if you can't, there's a generous credit towards your sailing, plus 50% reduced deposit for those South America and Africa voyages.
Awesome. So again, those promotions are all combinable. You have the $1,000, the upgrade, $1,000 plus potentially if you pick one of the benefit sailings, you've got another for $200 to $400 on top. So there's a whole bunch of combinations that you're going to get on top of just the already great value rates that Regent is already offering.
It's through the end of June, by the way, so there's time to take advantage of and plan your sailing. Personalize it. Look at those shore excursions. Look at those spa treatments. Get excited about the getting on board and maybe booking a private driver. So there's lots of opportunities to use that shipboard credit and personalize your experience with your travel advisor at Go Travel.
Yeah.
Well, and in a second here, we are going to be playing another Alaska video on our way out to get even more inspiration about the whole Alaska experience with Regent. But in the meantime, if you are interested in exploring the idea of going to Alaska as soon as this summer, or even you want to look a little farther out so that you really can book your ultimate excursions, just reach out to us at gotravel.com or get in touch with your travel advisor with Go Travel if you already are in touch with us. We just can't wait to hear from you. On that note, Bob, any final notes? And then we'll jump it over to Kim.
It's all covered. You can't go wrong with Regent.
Thank you, Bob. And we appreciate Go Travel. You guys have been amazing partners. You're very astute with Regent Seven Seas, so your guests are in amazing hands. So I appreciate the opportunity to express that, and Bob for all of your insight on Alaska and just transporting us on this little mini trip that we got to have this afternoon with you all. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kim.
Fantastic. Everybody, we will see you right back here next Tuesday at 2:00. But in the meantime, enjoy your week and enjoy this beautiful video all about Regent and Alaska.
Thanks again.
Bye, guys.